Happy Monday, everybody. My name is Brandon Rosa, and welcome to episode 292 of the Xbox in 10 podcast. Let me start by apologizing at the top of the episode, as I'm sure I sound extremely congested because I'm currently dying of a cold. Happy winter break to me, but we do not miss a week. This is your weekly source of Xbox gaming news covered in around 10 minutes. Every Monday, this podcast covers new game releases, the previous week's gaming news, and we all learn an Xbox-related fun fact together. This show is on YouTube and podcast services around the world, so please subscribe in your favor and leave a review. Xboxin10.com, no numbers, is your quick source for links to all of our podcast destinations and social media profiles, which you can follow at Xboxin10. No surprise in the Christmas holiday, but there were no big games out last week. However, to start off the new year, the games coming out this week include The Legend of Cyber Cowboy, Soko Monster, and Moo and Move Extra Grazing Grounds. Now to last week's biggest news stories, and we have 4 to cover this week. Number 1. Over 25 years of classic Halo content has leaked online. Andy Robinson at Video Games Chronicle writes, a huge Halo leak means players can try its original 1999 demo for the first time. Over 25 years of Halo content has leaked online, including playable builds from before the iconic first-person shooter series joined Xbox or was even an FPS. The leaked content appears to have originated from a Halo Studios collaboration with fan modders, which aim to restore cut content from past Halo titles, including the Halo 2 E3 2003 demo released last month. The mod team Digsight has been working with 343 since last summer, allegedly for no pay, to restore content including multiplayer maps originally developed for the PC port of Halo Combat Evolved, and cut content from classic Halo games. Perhaps most significantly, the long-lost Macworld demo from 1999 was planned to be restored for Halo the Master Chief Collection. Prior to landing on Microsoft's first Xbox, Halo is at one point planned to be a third-person exclusive for Mac. However, this week's leak has made the 1999 demo fully playable on PC, along with nearly 100 gigabytes of other files containing unfinished and cut content from the original Halo games developed by Bungie. On Thursday, a former member of the Digsight mod team confirmed the legitimacy of the leaked content, but claimed that none of its current or former members were responsible. Quote, I nor any of the recent Digsight departures did this, end quote, they wrote. Quote, for reference, by the way, myself and the other recent departures actually didn't have access to some of these files, like the debug DLLS. Wild this happened, but Merry Christmas, fellas, end quote. Another former Digsight member commented on the leak, claiming that most of the mod team had recently quit due to dispute over the team's alleged lack of pay and resources. Quote, I and the rest of the team responsible for the Crash Site, E3, Alpha Moon, and most H1/H2 content quit because it was made clear to us that the E3 2003 demo was more successful than Microsoft expected, and they wanted us to deliver another release on that level, still with no pay and no resources at all, end quote. Microsoft recently rebranded 343 Industries as Halo Studios and confirmed that it's working on multiple games developed with Unreal Engine 5. The news was announced during the Halo World Championship and accompanied by a video showcasing technical tests of various Halo-themed locations running in Unreal Engine 5. Sir Infinity was once working on what could have been a game-changing Battle Royale mode for Halo Infinite, the studio's former design director Mike Klopper recently claimed. Go check out some of the videos of people that have been playing the playable Mac demo of Halo in third person. It's crazy from where this idea started to where we ended up on the original Xbox. Such an interesting piece of lore, but sorry to all the developers impacted by these leaks. I'm sure as people get back from Christmas break, we're going to uncover a whole bunch more from this in the weeks to come. Number 2, Sega is reportedly considering its own gaming subscription service. William Doolin at Pure Xbox writes, Xbox Game Pass has been a huge success for Microsoft, and it's led to a bunch of other video game companies offering similar Netflix-style subscription services. It seems Sega might be next, with company president Shuji Utsumi revealing to the BBC recently how the Japanese developer and publisher behind Sonic the Hedgehog finds subscription products very interesting and is evaluating some opportunities. Xbox paved the way for subscription gaming with Xbox Live, which led to Game Pass and companies like Sony, Nintendo, and even EA and Ubisoft following their own services, offering access to games and much more. Microsoft subscription also happens to feature another company's subscription service in the form of EA Play, so if Sega was to launch something similar, it could potentially become part of other tiers. Very interesting, and seems like something maybe they should not do. While Sega has been on a sort of a renaissance with Sonic becoming huge and mainstream again, they haven't been as successful in some of their other areas of the business. However, with Sega and Xbox seeming to be great good partners, this might be another service that gets folded into Game Pass with a tier similar to how they mentioned of EA Play. Number 3, new Xbox controller with DualSense-like haptics is reportedly still on the way for next gen. Alessio Palumbo at WCCF Tech writes, In September 2023, the existence of a new Xbox controller was leaked due to the inadvertent sharing of an internal Microsoft document as part of the FTC vs. Microsoft legal fight. The controller, codenamed Sebille, would feature improved wireless, direct-to-cloud connection, Bluetooth 5.2, new modular thumbsticks, replaceable and rechargeable batteries, and other minor improvements. The big addition, though, was the DualSense-like haptics features. Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer did not hide his appreciation for the PS5 controller when it launched alongside Sony's console in late 2020. A few months later, he reiterated the concept while also teasing that Xbox would have to catch up in this area. The document leak proved he was very serious about that. However, since there have not been any official updates on the topic, there was no way to know whether the project bore fruit. After all, it could have easily been cancelled. Fans need not worry much about that. Tech4Gamers spotted a newly published patent clearly linking to the Sebille Xbox controller. The patent was originally filed in late August 2023, just before the aforementioned FTC leak. Here's the patent's abstract. A device configured to generate haptic feedback is disclosed. The device includes a housing, a connector, and a haptic motor. The connector includes a mount and coupled to the housing and a distal end spaced away from the mount end. The haptic motor is coupled to the distal end of the connector. Activation of the haptic motor causes the haptic motor to move relative to the housing to generate the haptic feedback. Moreover, Windows Central followed up by adding that the new Xbox controller is definitely still in the way. However, it is now planned to launch alongside the next Xbox console. Microsoft chose not to invest in a mid-generation refresh like Sony's PlayStation 5 Pro. They are instead all in on the forthcoming generation, which Xbox President Sarah Bond teased would bring the biggest technical leap ever seen in a console. At the same time, there are some wild rumors that Microsoft could launch the new hardware earlier than Sony, perhaps as soon as 2026. To get an advantage over its competitor, the PlayStation 6 is currently believed to be targeting a 2028 debut. If that's the case, then the Sebille Xbox controller might be not that far off either. This is cool and obvious. The haptics are actually really cool on Sony's PlayStation 5, specifically when you play a game like Astrobot that really takes advantage of these features. Seems like a big miss, as Phil Spencer noted upon launch of the consoles, that they didn't include this with the series generation. However, it will be there for the next generation. At number 4, Rare teases new glimpse at missing in action Xbox exclusive. Andy Robinson of Video Games Chronicle writes, Rare releases first new Everwild art in nearly 3 years. Rare has published the first new Everwild art in nearly 3 years, suggesting it could potentially ramp up pre-release marketing for the game in 2025. Rare announced a new IP in November 2019 and released another trailer in July 2020, but updates on the game have since been rare. However, fans finally got another glimpse of the game this week via Rare's Instagram Christmas card, which features festive-themed Everwild art. In 2021, VGC sources with knowledge of Everwild's development claimed that the game's design has essentially been restarted from scratch, meaning it would likely be several years before it was released. At the time, VGC sources claimed Everwild's development team was optimistically targeting a 2024 release for the game, which would mark a decade of development for Everwild, which spent many years in experimental prototyping. Obviously, this target date has since been slipped. In response to an advanced copy of our story, Everwild's executive producer Luis Ocana confirmed elements of the report, including the appointment of designer Greg Mayles as its new creative director. Xbox then Game Studios boss Matt Booty later said Everwild's team wanted to make sure I had something special before showing the game publicly again. This is cool. I mean, Rare really hit it out of the park with CFDs. As a game I haven't played all too much, I appreciate the hell out of it anytime I go and play with my friends. I don't think they'd be teasing this if we weren't going to see more this year. I would not expect this from the developer direct, but I would expect it from their typical big June E3 a la showcase. As always, we end our show with a fun fact about Xbox, and let's just talk about, in general, the top 10 worst reviewed games of 2024 as per Metacritic. Now, while some of these games are on Xbox, some are not, but this is the list. Number 1, Utopia City with a 23. Number 2, Devil May Cry Peak of Combat with a 41. Happy Funland with a 43. Food Truck Simulator with a 43. Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash with a 44. Stranger Things VR with a 44. Transformers Galactic Trials with a 45. PO Definitive Edition with a 46. Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports with a 47, and Metal Slug Attack Reloaded with a 48. Thankfully, no first-party studio games on there. That would be a big miss, and sad to see all the developers that spent their time developing a game that ended up being on the worst of Metacritic's list. Thank you all for listening to the Xbox in 10 podcast, your weekly source of Xbox gaming news covered in around 10 minutes. If you like the show, please subscribe to your favorite podcast service, share it with your friends, leave a review, and follow on all social media at Xbox in 10. This past week, as I pushed myself to play some games even though I've been really sick, I marathoned through the end of Marvel's Midnight Suns. Let's talk about this for a minute. I mean, this game is incredible. I love the gameplay, but there was just far too much for me. About halfway through, I started just mashing through all of the dialogue. And I mean, yes, not the best way to play this game. I just enjoy the gameplay, wanted to get it off my list in 2024. But you easily could spend hundreds of hours in this game. I mean, shout out to them for how much they developed, and just shout out to how many lines of dialogue in this game. It's absolutely insane. If you're looking to lose yourself in a Marvel world, I would highly recommend this game. My name is Brandon Rose. You can follow me on Xbox or Bros93. Hope you all have a great week. Happy New Year. Cheers to 2025. Stay safe and keep on gaming.